It started not with a bang, but with a notification. One that flashed on the cracked screen of Alex Chen's phone at 3:17 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday in Seattle. It woke him from a restless sleep with a jarring vibration, a single, cryptic email from a sender that didn't exist. The address was just a jumble of random letters and numbers, like a corrupted line of code. The subject line contained only 7 letters that would change his life forever: Cicada. Alex was a 24-year-old freelance cybersecurity analyst. He spent his days patching vulnerabilities for tech companies and his nights lurking on subreddits dedicated to unsolved cryptography. He should have known better than to open it. He should have seen the digital red flags waving in his face. But curiosity is a dangerous drug. He clicked. The email was empty, except for a single set of GPS coordinates. They pointed to a desolate, abandoned industrial park on the outskirts of the city, a place Alex hadn't visited since he was a teenager. Below the coordinates was a timestamp for 5 a.m. that morning. That gave him less than 2 hours to decide if this was an elaborate prank or something else entirely. Driven by an impulse he couldn't name, he pulled on a hoodie, grabbed his laptop bag, and drove through the rain-slicked streets. The city lights blurred past his window as his mind raced. Was this a recruitment drive for a secret hacker group? A setup for a mugging? When he arrived at the rusted chain-link fence of the old shipyard, the area was deserted. The only sound was the rhythmic dripping of rain on metal and the distant hum of the highway. He followed the GPS dot on his phone until it led him to a rusted junction box on the side of a derelict warehouse. There, taped to the underside with industrial-grade black tape, was a waterproof case no bigger than a deck of cards. Alex's heart hammered against his ribs as he pried it open, half expecting a bomb. Instead, he found a single, plain black USB drive and a piece of thick cardstock with a printed QR code. It looked impossibly complex, a dense fractal of black squares that seemed to shimmer in his flashlight's beam. He knew immediately, with the sickening certainty of someone who has stumbled onto a landmine, that this was a dead drop. It was a method used by intelligence agencies and criminal syndicates to pass information without a digital trace. The realization that someone had chosen him sent a jolt of adrenaline through his veins. That was equal parts terror and exhilaration. He sped back to his apartment, locking the multiple deadbolts and shuttering the blinds. He connected the USB drive to an air-gapped laptop and computer he never connected to the internet, because the first rule of cyber hygiene is paranoia. As the drive mounted, the screen didn't show a folder full of documents. Instead, a command line interface launched, filling the screen with scrolling green text. It was a self-executing program that bypassed the security protocols as if they weren't even there. It flashed a sequence of prime numbers before resolving into a simple prompt. What is the sound of silence? It was a riddle that felt archaic, but Alex, whose mind was a repository of obscure trivia and Cipher history, recognized it instantly. It was a reference to a famous unsolved puzzle from the early days of the internet, rumored to be a recruitment tool for an organization that didn't officially exist. He typed in the answer, the space between 23, and pressed enter. The screen went black for a terrifying 10 seconds. He feared he'd just bricked his machine with some next-level malware. But then, a video file opened. It was low resolution and grainy, showing a person in a dark hoodie in a sterile, white room. Their face was obscured by a pixelated blur that shifted and distorted with every movement. A synthesized, genderless voice began to speak. Hello, Alex. If you are watching this, you passed the first gate. You think you are alone. You are not. We have been watching your work on the decentralized encryption protocols you posted on GitHub last month. It was sloppy, but promising. We are Cicada. We are the architects of the reality you take for granted. We are the reason your bank account is secure. The reason your traffic lights don't crash every morning. And the reason certain information disappears. The world you see is a facade built over a chaotic sea of data. And something is breaking through the firewall. Something we can't stop alone. You have 24 hours to solve the next stage. Failure is not an option. If you refuse to play, or if you tell anyone about this, your digital life will be erased. Your bank accounts will be drained, your social security number flagged for domestic terrorism, and the records of your existence will be wiped from every database on Earth. You will become a ghost before you ever die. The QR code in the box is the key. Good luck. The video ended abruptly. The laptop shut itself down. Alex was left sitting in the dark, the faint blue light of the street lamp filtering through the blinds. He realized with a chilling clarity that the game he thought he was playing was actually playing him. By picking up that black box, he hadn't just found a mystery. He had become a target. Alex sat frozen in the oppressive silence of his apartment, the threat of digital erasure hanging in the air like toxic smoke. The words, "You will become a ghost," echoed in his mind. But fear quickly gave way to the cold, analytical focus that had made him one of the best penetration testers in the Pacific Northwest. He grabbed the cardstock with the QR code. He realized the density of the pattern was far too high for a standard URL. It contained raw binary data, a massive payload hidden in plain sight. He booted up a disposable machine, running a custom script to scan the image and convert it into hexadecimal code. Walls of numbers filled the screen. They seemed random until he spotted a recurring sequence, the ASCII binary for SOS, repeated every 1,000th character, a hidden distress signal buried within the recruitment test. It sent a chill down his spine. Whoever was behind Cicada wasn't just recruiting him, they were desperate. The compiled code generated a Tor onion link and a decryption key gateway to the darkest corner of the internet. He launched the Tor browser, tapped in the address, and watched as the page loaded slowly. It revealed a black background with a single, pulsing red countdown timer set to just under 60 minutes, ticking down the seconds of his life. Below it was a live feed of his own apartment building, shot from a street camera across the road, a violation of privacy so absolute that he instinctively ducked away from the window. This wasn't just a puzzle, it was a panopticon. The test had already begun. Lines of code scrolled beneath the video feed. A complex polymorphic virus was currently eating through the firewall of the city's power grid. It was a digital contagion, shifting and rewriting itself every time a security protocol tried to quarantine it. Alex realized with horror that Cicada hadn't built this virus, they were trying to stop it, and they needed him to write the kill switch because their own algorithms had failed. He began to type, his fingers flying across the mechanical keyboard. He dived into the logic of the malware, finding it was hunting for the water treatment facility systems. It was aiming to overload the pumps and flood the downtown district. A cyberkinetic attack that would kill thousands. As the timer dropped below 30 minutes, the virus began to fight back. It recognized his intrusion and launched a counterattack on his laptop, overheating his CPU. His screen glitched with phantom images of his own face, taken from his webcam moments ago, a psychological tactic designed to break his concentration. But Alex pushed through the panic, his eyes burning, sweat dripping onto the trackpad. He found the vulnerability, a tiny, elegant flaw in the virus's replication loop, a zero-day exploit he could use to crash the system. But to insert the patch, he had to expose his own IP address, dropping his shields and letting Cicada see exactly who and where he was. A choice between his anonymity and the city's safety. As the timer hit 10 seconds, he didn't hesitate. He slammed the enter key, watching as his code injected itself into the stream. The red text turned green, halting the virus just as the timer hit 0. But instead of a success message, the screen went black again. New text appeared, integrity confirmed, threat neutralized, welcome to the hive, drone 742. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A bank notification showed a deposit of $50,000 from a shell corporation. It was followed by a text from an unknown number that simply said, "We own you now." Alex looked out his window. He saw the street camera slowly rotate away from his building and point back towards the street, leaving him in the darkness. He had saved the city, but sold his soul. He had become a permanent node in a network he didn't understand, destined to fight invisible wars from his bedroom for masters he would never meet. As he closed his laptop, he noticed a new icon on his desktop, a small, black cicada that hadn't been there before, watching him, waiting for the next command, proving that once you answer the call of the digital void, you can never truly hang up.